Bored Apes approaching mass liquidation on BendDAO. Can this... Oh, excuse me. Let me get some water. Can this crash the entire NFT market? That's the question people have. A large number of Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs are approaching liquidation on the lending platform BendDAO. Can this cascade into a crash of the entire NFT market? Bored Apes NFTs at risk of liquidation as floor prices drop more than 50% since the all-time high. BendDAO is a platform that lends out Ethereum loans to users against NFT collaterals. Generally, users can avail up to 30 to 40% of the floor price of the non-fungible token they are putting up on the platform. However, if the price or the floor price of the digital collectible in question drops to a certain level, the platform forcibly puts the token up for auction. This liquidation level is determined by the health factor of the NFT-backed loan. When the value of the metric drops below 1, the token automatically enters into a 48-hour liquidation protection state where the owner can choose to pay off the debt and reclaim the token. If the user fails to clear the loan, the non-fungible token is auctioned away and the highest bidder gets to claim it. Now, this is obviously kind of a brilliant DeFi solution, so it almost protects itself, which is kind of cool. But you do end up in a position where if it's going to crash, it's going to crash, and there's no way to manipulate it and get out of it. But that is kind of the point of cryptocurrency in general. So I don't know. I find this extremely interesting, and it seems to be proving out to working properly. Sort of. Let's get into more details. Now, what's going on with Bored Apes is that many BAYC holders have borrowed ETH using the BendDAO lending service. And a significant number of these users are at risk of liquidation currently as the floor prices of the collection has been going down in recent weeks. As the BendDAO health factor alert list shows, a large amount of BAYC-backed debts are very near going below the 1 threshold. An analyst on Twitter has suggested that a possible consequence of these BAYC liquidations can be a crash of the entire NFT market. When these Bored Apes loans with health factor values close to the 1 start going under, the resulting liquidations will drive the floor prices even lower. This would mean more BAYC-backed debts will be pulled down into liquidation. In this way, the liquidations can cascade together and damage the entire Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem. As the analyst points out, the monthly volume on OpenSea, the most popular marketplace for NFTs, has been at a 12-month low recently. Look at that. Holy moly. The volume is low enough that the entire NFT market could feel a cascading effect by these large liquidations of the Bored Ape loans on BendDAO. At the time of writing, Bitcoin's price floats around 21,400, down 12% in the past week. And basically what we have to worry about is a complete liquidation. Now, this does get a little bit more interesting, and that I found this on Twitter to explain it a little bit more, and this is from nftstatistics.eth. And he says a long thread about the BendDAO situation. So it gets worse because they've run out of ETH. There's just 12.5 WETH in the contract. So what does that mean? He goes on to say, people who lent money to others via BendDAO to buy NFTs on leverage can't pull their money out. About 15,000 ETH was lent out. It also means NFT borrowers must pay 100% interest on their borrowed ETH. The debt against these NFTs is rising quickly now. What does that mean for my NFTs? It depends. Right now, the majority of NFTs have defaulted, have no bids. 13 out of the 17 MAYCs, 5 out of the 9 BAYCs, 8 out of the 11 Clone X's, and 6 out of the 8 Doodles have no bids, right? So they've defaulted. They're under that one aspect that we were talking about earlier, but essentially they don't have any bids. So nobody's buying them. So why aren't they buying them? A, the BendDAO requires bids above the debt the borrower owes and above OpenSea floor of 0.95 ETH, or times 0.95, sorry, excuse me. To open the bid, you have to lock up ETH for 48 hours. Debt is sometimes higher than floor, and people don't want the 48-hour risk on floor NFTs. There are a lot more NFTs about to default and come to auction, either due to debt rising with these sky-high interest rates or OpenSea floor falling. See the link for the BendDAO. Currently, those NFTs are hitting BendDAO auctions and not hitting exchanges. Why? Because no one is bidding on them. The DAO is getting stuffed with them and holding them. Eventually, the DAO needs ETH from those NFTs to pay the lenders who can't withdraw ETH. So we will have to wait and see what the DAO decides. Do they hold these NFTs and hope floors recover? Or do they change their terms? Bidders don't need to cover full debt and can bid a bit bigger, get a bit of a bigger discount to the floor to make it easier for the DAO to sell the NFTs and collect ETH. Or do they find a market maker who buys them at a sharp discount and sells them over time? As long as they sit on the NFTs with no bids, the market doesn't feel it directly. We'll wait and see. Hopefully the market can absorb whatever comes and work through it. And this is where we end up in the poor position, right? So if we are talking about the automatic liquidation, that sounds all good until we realize that there's not enough money in the DAO to actually back any of these. And then you end up in a position where they're trying to automatically liquidate them, and you don't have the ability to liquidate them because nobody wants to bid on them because they're below or above the floor price of the actual project. And this goes back into like, not necessarily not your keys, not your crypto, but the dangers of decentralized finance when you are lending out in general. Because basically what ends up happening now is that the lenders can't get their money back. And that is where you end up in a position where the initial rates looked really, really good. But if your rates are really, really good, but your locked up asset has no liquidity, then at the end of the day, you don't get anything out of it anyways. And this will be interesting to follow over the next week. And don't worry, we will stay up to date with it. I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions on this situation, of course, in the live chat. One of the things that I'm kind of thinking overall, though, is yes, it could affect the greater NFT marketplace, but only on the Ethereum blockchain, technically. Of course, there could be some kind of crossover depending on cross chains and bridges and etc. for other NFT projects on other chains, but for the most part, it shouldn't affect other NFT projects at this time that are not on Ethereum. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. You can check out the full episode here or more crypto content down here. Also, I'd like you to check out my locals page at sonofatech.locals.com, where you can become a member for free or choose to be a $5 a month supporter that unlocks additional content.